Marvel released the first full trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps. So they released a teaser before, but this one's like a full trailer. Um, and so I'm going to share some of my thoughts on the trailer. So I thought it was okay. We got to see Mr. Fantastic stretch just in one little scene. Um, and we find out that Sue is actually pregnant. I'm pretty sure this is the same one they showed at CinemaCon, and I don't know. There's something about. I thought I'd be more hyped for this movie, but I don't know. For some reason, I'm still on the edge about it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I feel like maybe the chemistry between the characters or the actors isn't quite there. Um, just from the trailer, I don't know for sure until I watch the movie, but um, yeah, I don't know. I don't I don't know how it's going to turn out. I really hope it's good because I like the Fantastic Four. They're probably pretty high up there for me. For me, it'd probably be Spider Man at number one, and Wolverine and the X Men number two, and then Fantastic Four would probably be the order that I'd put those in. Um, so I really hope it's good. I'm not the biggest fan of it being set in the 60s. Uh, I mean, it will be sort of a change of pace from a lot of the other MCU movies, so it will set it apart a little bit, be something a little bit different. But um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll have to wait till I actually watch the movie to see how it feels. But um, I felt like it was is lacking in the action part. Granted, this is just the first trailer, so I'm sure they're holding some back for future trailers. But I think this one was more so leaning into the family aspect. Um, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good. We got to look at the Silver Surfer. I think she looked sort of weird to me. I don't know why, it, but she looked a little weird to me um, in some of the scenes that it showed her in. But I'm hopeful for it, but I'm still skeptical, I guess. Um, but let me know what you guys thought of the Fantastic Four trailer, um, and if you're excited for the movie or not. I'm really excited for Thunderbolts. I feel like me, I do like a more grounded story. Like Daredevil was pretty good. I'll be talking about the finale here in a minute, but the more street level or grounded, I feel like is more what I like. So Thunderbolts, somewhat more grounded. They're gonna go against Sentry and the Void, which is sort of, I don't know. I don't know if you'd call that grounded necessarily, but I mean it takes place like on the civilian level. Um, so with Fantastic Four, it's going to be more cosmic, but at the end of the trailer, we did see Galactus sort of stepping through the street. So I feel like it can be more of a grounded story a little bit, even though he's a cosmic character. They're sort of bringing him to Earth. So I feel like it can have a little bit more of those elements. And Mr. Fantastic, when we did see him stretch, he was looked like he was trying to grab the falling debris and stuff to save someone below, or or something like that. So I feel like it will have those elements of like sort of the city and the civilian level, which I think will be sort of interesting. But I don't know. It's sort of hard for me to wrap my head around um, Galactus, I guess, um, because he can change his scale. At least he could in the comics. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but that's always been a concept that's sort of hard for me to grasp, because it's like if you have a cosmic character like that can scale himself super huge, like, I don't know, and then you're not necessarily fighting him directly. You're sort of like finding solutions. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's not like a hand-to-hand combat type thing. It's more of like, okay, we have to do this and this and complete whatever this little experiment is to cause a reaction to stop them, or open up a portal, or something like that, rather than it's like an indirect fight, if that makes sense. Um, but I feel like maybe with Silver Surfer it might be a little more direct of a fight. But yeah, I struggle with some of those. Um, if it's not like a hand-to-hand combat where it's right there. Um, and I feel like the more grounded stories we can relate to more. Um, so I don't know. I feel like the family aspect of Fantastic Four will be pretty good, but even like with that, I'm not seeing the chemistry between the cast really to sell that part of it. And then the action part is, I don't know, I'm skeptical. But I want to be hyped about this movie because, like I said, I like the Fantastic Four, and I really want this to be a good movie. But right now, like, I just can't get super hyped about it yet. Like, I don't know why. I was really wanting to, and like ever since it's been announced, I really thought it was going to be really good, and I was getting hyped about it. But now, after seeing the trailers, and they just haven't really shown me anything that's gotten me hyped for the movie yet. Um, so, but this is only the first full trailer, so still, there will be several more trailers to come. So, I'm hopeful for that. And like I said, I'm really excited for Thunderbolts to come out. I think that will be. I think I'll honestly enjoy Thunderbolts more than I will um,
Incoming voice.
Fantastic Four, at least at the moment, until they show me something else for Fantastic Four. But I do really enjoy the characters in Fantastic Four, and hopefully they nail those. Um, so now I'm going to talk about the finale for season 1 of Daredevil Born Again. So if you haven't seen it, this is your spoiler warning. So with that, it was an average finale, I feel like, and I think since originally it was going to be, I think, 18 episodes for one season, um, I could sort of tell that because it felt like this whole first season, first 9 episodes, felt like it was all just like should have been like a first third or first half of a season to set up like the actual finale, if that makes sense. And so at this finale, I felt sort of let down as anticlimactic because it felt like all this whole season should have taken place in like the first third or first half of the season, and then we could see more of the effects of Fisk actually going full Kingpin Mayor mode. Um, and we really didn't see much of that until the finale, for the most part. And like Daredevil being out of the costume for most, I think it was episode 6 or 7 before he got back in the suit. So I felt like all this whole season should have been, um, what am I trying to say here? Should have been either just the first part of the season, which I feel like they sort of planned that to be initially until they separated it into 2 different seasons. But I feel like this season, what they could have done is sort of streamlined it a little bit. If you take Muse out and just sort of combine a little bit of that other, focus more on the Mayor Fisk and Daredevil part of it, and just taking Muse out, and um, um, you sort of would have gotten to that point sooner, to where Fisk is going full Kingpin mode, and Daredevil and all of them are teaming up to take him down or whatever. And then we could have seen him actually getting taken out at the end of the season. And then season two could have focused more on Muse and other, um, maybe other villains or something, um, and had maybe the Hector Iola case included in the second season, so we could have maybe explored his character a little bit more, because I felt like the one and done episode didn't really, well, it might have been 2 episodes, I'm not sure, but didn't really do him that much justice as well. So I felt like Muse and, Hector Iola, or the White Tiger, those two parts could have been taken out and put in season two, and then this whole first season could have just been about, um, Daredevil and Kingpin and that whole evolution, but gotten to the finale part by like episode 4 or maybe 5. So it would have been a lot shorter, and then we would have had maybe, four-ish episodes to sort of live in that, what that is of Kingpin, um, sort of running the city and taking over, and we could have experienced that more, and then, um, maybe have that, like at the end of the finale where they team up, have that be like episode 6 or 7, and then you see them plot against them and take them out, and take Kingpin out and everything, or at least like knock him down a peg to where he doesn't fully take over the city, or like he puts a wrench in their plans or whatever, something like that. Um, I feel like would have been a more interesting way to go. And with the team up at the very end of the finale, I feel like was a little disappointing, when, Matt Murdock was like, we need to form a team or whatever, or we need an army or something like that. I thought that was going to be the Defenders or something like that. That would have been really cool to have the Defenders back, and that would have been a good way to introduce them into the MCU, which I think they're pretty much already in the MCU, but officially like show that they are. And then for the second, um, so we could have either had that, streamlined, or we could have had sort of the same as it is, but just changed the ending scene to where it's all the Defenders in there. Would have been pretty cool. Or even like, don't have to have all the Defenders, just like maybe one or two of them. But when they showed who was in there, I was like, this is sort of disappointing. Like, how are they going to take down Kingpin? Um, but so the finale was decent, very violent and brutal. Kingpin smashing the commissioner guy's head was gruesome, very gruesome. And, yeah, overall, it was a decent finale, but it just left me feeling like it was meant to be like a midway point, a midway point in a season, which I think was probably initially what was going to happen, because they split it up into 2 seasons. But yeah, so that's my main thing. Um, so I hope next season is a little more streamlined. It felt like this season was a little bit chaotic, and they didn't really know what they wanted to do. And I hated the part of like, they kept a secret of what, um, Kingpin was wanting to do, or Fisk was wanting to do as mayor, or why he was wanting to be mayor, until like the last episode or so. I felt like that was something that like should have been like stated early on, like episode 2 or something. Um, yeah, so, and I think that would have, I don't know, because I was the whole season I was like, you know why is Fisk wanting to be mayor other than being able to like have more power or whatever, but like what's his specific goals, or what's what projects or what certain things is he going to do with that power that's going to make his empire stronger. And they didn't tell us that until like the last episode, which um couple couple episodes, I think it was 7 or 8, they talked about wanting to do that project and everything, but they didn't really say why. So I wish they would have sort of explained that a little more. And like Fisk didn't even really explain that to Vanessa until the last episode either. So um, I guess Fisk isn't good at communication. um, but yeah, overall the episode was decent. Um, the season as a whole was decent. Um, for me, honestly, I think my favorite episode was I don't remember if it was like episode 4 or 5 or something, where it was just like the bank robbery scene, or bank robbery episode. But that one was fun to me because it felt like it was just sort of like a standalone episode. The other episodes felt like, not all of them, like some of them, um, but instead of feeling like individual episodes that tie into the overall story, they all felt like pieces of a movie, which is something that Marvel's been doing pretty much in all their series. But it's hard when you only have like 8 or 9 episodes um, to have that overall arcing story throughout the season and have individual episodes, because like before, when they had like 20 episodes in a season, you could have those individual episodes, and with 20 episodes you could have little bits of story in each episode that would tie together to make one long story throughout the season, because you have 20 episodes, so you have enough time to do that. But when you have 8 or 9 episodes, or even some of them had, I think, like 6 episodes, you don't have the time to develop those long form plot lines and have individual stories in the episode. So therefore, they have to basically just tell a movie in 6 or 8 episodes. So that's probably the reason why it's like that. Um, but yeah, I think with Marvel, their best bets are to go with more shows like Daredevil, Born Again, but give them the full 18 episodes, or at least like 12 or 15 episodes, something like that, so that they can sort of get back to that, doing a story each episode and intertwining the overall story for the season. I feel like is their best bet, and do more grounded type stories like Daredevil, because it's mainly stunts and it's not a whole lot of visual effects, so it's cheaper to make, rather than do things like She-Hulk that probably cost a crap ton of money, or even Secret Invasion. Like, they cost a bunch of money and they weren't even that great. Rather than do something like Daredevil, which is grounded, which I like, but also it's cheaper to make so that you can make more episodes and more seasons. Um, I feel like that's, for many years, that's what people have done. Sitcoms, um, a lot of shows that are not visually effect heavy, um, because they're cost effective and they're still enjoyable. So like Daredevil Born Again, or the original Daredevil, probably wasn't that expensive compared to like other shows like She-Hulk, Secret Invasion, and stuff like that, where they have a lot of visual effects for their budget. So you can make more episodes, and and being more grounded, I feel like, is just better anyway. You can get more into the depth of like how this affects the civilians, and like just the regular people of the MCU, which I enjoy. There was what episode was it with Matt Murdock was representing some guy that stole food or something from a gas station or something like that, and it went into like the actual things that affect well in our real world, but also in the MCU, and then also they tied in a little bit of like he's like it could have been a scroll, you know what I mean? So it's like um, what the MCU does best is it's plays on the fact that their world is very similar to ours, but slightly different in a few ways. So that's what I really liked about that episode is like the guy was like, talking about how it's hard to get any benefits and all this, talking about getting like food stamps, stuff like that, but also tying in the fact of like, hey, there's scrolls in this universe and like the civilians have to deal with that stuff and they know that information and how that affects people like on the civilian like normal people level, because a lot of times we only see how it affects like the superheroes or like um, how it affects Tony Stark, but he's a billionaire, he's not the everyday person. So or even like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we seen, which is a good part, well, sort of good and bad, where we seen like the financial struggles that uh, Sam Wilson and his sister were having. Um, so that's more something that we can relate to, which is sort of a bad thing because you would think they would get paid for being an Avenger, especially when Tony Stark was alive because he's a billionaire. And especially when they were with Shield because they were sort of like contracted out by Shield or assembled by Shield. But now that Tony Stark's dead and Shield's not assembled, I can more so see it because there's basically no Avengers. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I got on a long tangent there. Um, yeah, so I think they need to do more street level and um, more like combat, hand to hand combat type shows for Disney Plus. I feel like that'd be a really cool idea to have like a Spider-Man live action Disney Plus show that's all street level, where he goes against like Tombstone, Kingpin, all those like really street level threats, and have like other um, heroes pop in, like have Daredevil crossover. I'm trying to think of some of the other street level ones uh, that are in the MCU right now that are in like New York. I guess you could have like Kate Bishop or something, and deal with the Tracksuit Mafia. I don't know if we'll ever see the Tracksuit Mafia again. Um, but yeah, that would be pretty cool. That's what I hope they do. Start doing more grounded, street level type series for Disney Plus, like Daredevil and all them. It's more cost effective for them, but it's also more enjoyable for us. So I think it's a win-win there. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the Fantastic Four trailer and the Daredevil Born Again um, first season and the finale. So let me know what you guys think about all that and Thunderbolts and the MCU as a whole. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and have a